Will we make it to Yellowstone? Welcome to the second episode of Overlanding USA with an expedition vehicle. In the last episode, I drove the truck from the East Coast to Denver, Colorado, where my wife, Annette, joined me. In this episode, we start in Colorado Springs and try to reach Yellowstone National Park on small back roads and difficult dirt trails. Have fun! Near Colorado Springs is the Garden of the Gods Park. It is a very interesting sandstone formation. What fascinates us most as Europeans, besides the magnificent landscape in the USA, is really the wildlife. Keep to the right. The 11 Miles Canyon is a simple dirt road adventure that doesn't require four-wheel drive. It is a former railway line that was built to construct the 11 Miles Dam. There are various campgrounds in the canyon, but you can only pay in cash, and unfortunately, we didn't have enough cash. That's why we spent the night just outside the canyon on BLM land. The landscape north of 11 Miles Canyon is treeless prairie. If we didn't know any better, we'd think we were in Iceland. But there are no antelopes in Iceland either. The bread situation is difficult for us Germans in the USA. That's why Annette found a bakery in the hope of getting sourdough bread here.
Echtes Brot.
$35 for bread, but it tastes incredible. Rocky Mountain National Park was our first national park in the USA. There is an annual pass with which you can visit all the national parks in the USA for a year. We thought each person would need one, but the price is per vehicle, $80, which is more than fair. The road leads over the highest paved road in the USA at 3,700 meters, but the truck managed it without any issues. The journey continued north on lonely backcountry roads, and we crossed the border between Colorado and Wyoming. We turned onto the Wyoming BDR, Backcountry Discovery Route. It's an off-road adventure route that runs from south to north through all of Wyoming and ends near Yellowstone National Park. The campground is a public BLM land campsite. Toilet, trash, grill area, and a bathing river and a spring. Really awesome for $10. Off-roading was planned for the next few days, so the tire pressure was reduced and the bumper was set to off-road mode. The BDR track was initially very easy to drive, and the trees were far apart from the track. But the path became narrower and narrower, and the branches began to scrape along the cabin. And at this tree, it was the end of the road. Real men now have a chainsaw with them and just cut their way through. But with the size of this tree, you have to know what you're doing, and we don't have a saw with us. Turning around was possible at this point with a guide. We had to drive back about 10 miles and then let Google calculate an alternative route for us. With such a tall vehicle, it happens quite often in forest areas that the branches hang too low and we can't get any further. The alternative route was drivable, but it was also very bumpy. But at least there were no more low branches or fallen trees. Are you having fun? Yes, totally. Unfortunately, you can't bring the diesel smell here. The Sugarloaf Mountains were then a reward after all the shaking. One of the most beautiful overnight spots so far. We followed the Wyoming BDR further north through lonely farmland. The dirt roads were in excellent condition this time, and you could drive up to 60 kilometers per hour. Oh my God, that goes down 300 feet. Yellowstone National Park is bear country, and there are warnings about bears on every corner. So the first thing we did was to rent 2 bottles of bear spray for 4 days. Bear, 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 bear. We learned that you should clap and shout, "Bear," then it will come. The landscape in Yellowstone National Park is truly impressive. But what absolutely blew us away is the wildlife and how little fear the animals show. Unbelievable. And there's something hanging from its mouth.
Geil, so geil.
The bison are completely relaxed around people and vehicles, and they often stand right in the middle of the road, like in India. However, getting out and pushing them is not recommended. A bison can weigh up to a ton and reach speeds of up to 35 kilometers per hour when angry. This is Old Faithful, one of the largest geysers in the area. Below us is a supervolcano, one of about 6 or so in the world. It's one of the few that is on land. It will erupt again. But when, no one knows, thankfully. Thanks to our baking oven in the camper, we tried our hand at home-baked sourdough bread, and the result was absolutely convincing. Our first bread, baked at an altitude of 2,400 meters. Grand Teton National Park is located directly south of Yellowstone National Park. Beavers have been kept from us so far. Apparently, there are some here. Over there. Is that a beaver or something else? What do you think? The ultimate photo motif of Grand Teton National Park is the molten barns. The farms were built around 1912 by Mormons and are now part of the national park. Flying drones in the national park and camping outside of official campsites is prohibited. However, if you search, you can find BLM land or national forest just outside the national park. And then you can camp legally, like here. Wyoming, Yellowstone, and Grand Teton National Park have been successfully traversed. I hope you had fun. The next video will take us through Idaho to Utah and the deserts of Arizona. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. See you soon.